Gwini cóir an gédal sias is minam buicas ó clí goháil se asach an fircin fóse a dara sibrum hain thread ma van céile saidin ésiat san atá tias de lam. Bhí áthas an litar all ag tuair cuireadm tíochtar eis go chun an chlár. Agus agus muid na man an Comhaltas ar fuidne tíre tá linn ceapin mo chuin bhfuil an aimse I gcónaí bail doin agus is ínta chun rudaí go mé daoine atá baile agus tá súlan go muinis se teanamh as an ceiliúra seo agus tá sé fíorta tábhachtach. Is mílam mo bhuíchas a gháil ach go háirithe do bord Cnoc na Gaoithe Comhaltas Cultúirí éireann as an tíocht an rud speisialta tá siúl acha. Bhín áthas ar a gcónaí bheith arás a gcuid an chlár agus rud a gcuineann go mór me rihan bliain seo ná tábhacht an ceol, tábhacht an atmosfér géalach le airtálach san táirú mána atá le airtál ar fuidne tíre agus tá ró lárnach ag an ceol agus iad san a cuaram an ceol nuair a bhí dúchal an mór an. It's just such a wonderful opportunity to come back here to County Clare, and as I've been saying as well, I want to thank the board of Cnoc na Gaoithe, Comhaltas Cultúirí éireann for inviting me to be here as well. I only just seen my brother John is here as well, and I was looking at the baptismal records of our Tulla grandmother only a few minutes ago. I was very, very grateful to see that. She was baptised here in Tulla, Catherine Lynch, in 1861. It's very moving for me as well to be coming back to Clare and as we're celebrating 1916 because of course of the involvement of my own family in the East Clare Brigade and my father's involvement in North Cork and all of the divisive events that followed in the Civil War. But what I just think is wonderful is I always think it's important for us to realise that I would not be standing here as president of an independent state if the people who had not made great sacrifices in all their different ways to ensure that all of us enjoy the freedom that we do now. Let us never forget it. I think it is so, so important, and the best way to remember it is to remember it by celebrating what is at the heart of Ireland in a way, and that it's music and the spirit that goes with it. It's very interesting, not only did our music travel across the Atlantic, but the memory also of previous sacrifices travelled across the Atlantic, and it was very important in preparing for the War of Independence. Clare is absolutely renowned around the world for its rich musical heritage. It's Irish, Tábhachtach, Luachfar. Now I think that heritage today, people queue up around the world to listen to Martin Hayes and people like him. But I remember as a child down in Newmark and Fergus as well, seeing this woman's name that was always turning up in the Tare Champion, Mrs. Crotty. And I remember also as well when I was Minister for Arts, Culture and the Gaoithe more than 20 years ago, getting letters from Widow O'Rourke about the Willie Clancy School. I remember saying, because there were many people looking for Joneses at the time, that there was something special about the Willie Clancy School because it showed how, if you like, to maintain and repair pipes. And if you wanted to know, people speak about great successes Ireland makes. I actually think there's a great success in the Peabury. There was a time when pipes were weak, and now they are just in such a strong position with one fine exponent after the other. And I think I spoke about Mr. Potts the other day, how he's in fact actually thrilled with all of these great achievements. I think as well in relation to the traditional music, it's very, very, what I think is great around the country as well, is that we weren't just putting on events for 1916 or for 2016. The people rose to it and they felt and said, this is about our story, and they now have taken possession of it. And the children who are coming through the schools will know so much more. And I often think about that, about the last letter, for example, of Sean McDermott, one of the signatories, to his 9 siblings. Will make sure that they learn Irish. This is somebody who was a tram driver who cycled to Cavan to teach Irish. That is what it's about. I will be repeating regularly during this year as we move through the remaining events. I've asked people with just a little Irish to put a little more with it, and all those with any Irish to use it, and the people to be bold, sympathetic and encouraging, and particularly those who are in positions of dealing with the public, and so on. This is a great, great way of doing it, is in fact to think of those people when bicycles went all over the country. Douglas Hyde going off, and I was reading his Mohrusk America in 1905, speaking all over America, raising funds for Conor Gaoithe. What's been asked of us to make the special effort for Irish in 2016 is very little by comparison. Now, getting on to what I'm really here for in a way, this weekend is very important for the unveiling of a plaque to the men and women from this area who played their own important role in the Easter Rising of 1916. I was so pleased to meet families of the members of Comhaltas and the 3 local volunteers, Mick O'Dea, who was shot while on sentry duty during Easter week in Dublin, and Dan and Joe Canny, who were arrested and interned for their active service in the Easter Rising. You must think what it would be like after the Easter Rising, and when we have last evening, I was present in Liberty Hall as we were recalling the execution of James Connolly. But what it must have been like in those immediate weeks that followed, when people were rounded up, thousands, and sent to Wales, and on their way to Wales through different prisons. I've witnessed much evidence, I must say, and what's very heartening is the interest, that the pride that the local communities are taking in the Easter Rising, and what happens sometimes a week, even or a week after the Rising itself. There's been it has given this act of ethical remembering in a generous way has actually given energy to the country that it desperately needed. Fuin of Noah. And it's indicating a very positive readiness to engage with our shared history. And it's an aspect of people at their best when they're able to celebrate the brave and courageous and local citizens who participated in Ireland's struggle for independence from British rule. Think about it for a minute, people with limited resources and from humble backgrounds, taking on the greatest empire in the world at the time, and saying that it is important that we made our gesture, a gesture that was followed by other countries that would throw off empire in succeeding decades. And so here in Tulla, you are justly proud of your strong link to the Rising through Mick O'Dea and the Canny brothers, but you can be also proud of so many other citizens in County Clare who played their role in these important events in our shared past. I think in 2016, we must remember the many groups of Irish volunteers mobilised in villages across the county on Easter Monday 1916, and indeed those who went on to participate in Ireland's War of Independence, which, as I said, in County Clare included my uncles and aunts, and in County Cork my father and my mother and her family. It is at this weekend that you celebrate the local dimension of 1916. And what is wonderful in a way, it is, may I suggest to you, that when you're enjoying the world acclaim that Clare music gets now, that one likes to think that their spirits are hearing that music too, and rejoicing that we are able to make our music in conditions of freedom, and to be able to offer it to the world and send it back off to our family over the seas and bring it back again enriched, and that there are generations after generations now enjoying all of that. Culture is a central element of the Rising. What is sometimes forgotten, for example, is how well read the people who were the signatories were, the languages they spoke, the intellectual breadth of Connolly, for example, the books that they read, the efforts that they made, the Plunketts, for example, who could speak several languages, And indeed, when the first Dáil meets, it's very interesting. The proceedings are read out, the statements that they make, first in Irish, second in French, and then in English. So therefore, people should really think of, in fact, the inspiring example that they gave. They realised the importance of literature, of learning, of music, of language, of thought, and of an old language, older than 5,000 years, that needed to be protected. And they had a dream of creating something new and radical in Ireland. And radical it must be, to be able to try and change, as it were, to throw off the great load that was upon them. And yes, they had a dream of creating something new, but something with a distinct Irish culture and history. And that is contained in what now is in all the schools of the country, the words of the proclamation. And it isn't anything as tedious as checking off boxes of how much of it has been achieved. It is there to inspire all people in Ireland today to finish the job off by having a republic of which we can be proud of in terms of equality and respect and justice and being able to think internationally. It offers us today a generous social and political vision that is full of inspiration. And I'm delighted to learn this evening that a copy of the proclamation and a specially commissioned medallion in honour of its 7 signatories has been presented to 7 organisations and individuals who have made their own important contribution to the Tulla and East Clare area during the 100 years that have passed since the Easter Rising. I was privileged to meet their representatives. I'm so pleased to have had the opportunity of doing that. And that range of areas for which they were honoured include education, music, scholarship, and of course participation in the Rising itself, reminding us in the many ways in which we can actively engage in our society and our communities, leaving our own unique imprint on the landscape for generations to come. Tulla and East Clare can be so proud. I often think as well, only the other day I was looking at a piece of paper written by the parish priest in Newmarket and Fergus about the death of my grandmother, this woman who was baptised here in Tulla. And he said, Ní raibh sé brocha I bheith banner rau mas mór ile Chnoc, a woman that the neighbours had a high respect for. And that is what being Irish is. And that is what, when it says, which I was only the other day, by the way, I was wondering, had it gone just the game before last, as what had happened to the Clare Roar. But then I noticed that after winning the lead that it was back again. And I'm delighted to be able to say that. Each sada will and gradam fight chakat as harve til chakat, Nijuraka Trokra, the Sisters of Mercy, who made such a profound contribution to education and social development in East Clare. The magnificent Tulla Pipe Band, founded in 1936, who for 80 years have played a central role in cultural, spoken and historic events in this area. The Tulla Féile Band, who for 70 years have shared our traditional Irish music and dance with audiences around the world. The magnificent, serious scholar, Edward MacLysaght, whose impact on the cultural, social and educational life of East Clare. But I have also to say, to for librarianship and good scholarship, rigorously presented, is that's invaluable and incalculable. And Dr. Tomas McConamara, who has gifted us with an exceptional collection of the oral history and folklore of County Clare. There is no oral history in the National Library, but that wonderful work which he did in cooperation with the University of Limerick is the Kate Scott, agus tá muid Harvard week co-osacht on opera questions. And then of course, the people who took the risks and whose families bore the burden. Mick O'Dea and Dan and Joe Kenny, about whom I've already spoken. Mar focal skirken clique carlish and medatalarum is a rish gam weekas a sacht on forge creo le darish romains redmavan. Le linna bliant amora camorisha. Tasha tovak dat naniana with diarmat chrokak nari deelach casnanini, a redder son the cushion edikas a shediak.
is na muinter I hea slopes na parochis is sulia. Tiglin spraga oluha mar gurt me, agus with the goosad ar dalana, agus ar muna, ar son and papa, e kuma on era, o era happen hain, I will fater the gonchora on. Let us, during this important centenary year, resolve never to lose the sight of the bravery, the generosity, and above all the idealism of those who fought so intrepidly for a free and independent republic. Let us draw inspirations from their lives when we consider how we are called on to give of our talents and our abilities for the benefit of all the members in all the circumstances of our community. Once again, thank you for allowing me to share with you this special weekend on the ile Chnoc and Comhaltas, and I wish you success as a community. Gwyn gagragus banach orib, don tauki, the gagrod atoya tiat, agus shifshe iman, on mion kundan klor, mion and popel ta kohu is a freshu, garimila mahanki.